Hey everyone, going to do something a little different today. I want to talk about a song that's always resonated with me, and I just heard it again after about 20 or maybe 30 years, and it still resonates. It's Blue Bayou, a song that brings up emotions of longing and hope, and I want to talk about it a little bit. And how I came across this song is I've always been a big fan of the Eagles, and I was listening to some Eagles music on YouTube, and YouTube does this thing where it suggests, the next video that it's going to play. And it started playing Blue Bayou by Linda Ronstadt. And that makes sense on some level because a lot of people don't know, but Linda Ronstadt helped create the Eagles, the band, the Eagles. The founding members were Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Bernie Leadon, and Randy Meisner. And they were originally hired by Linda Ronstadt to be her backup band during a tour that she gave in 1971. So she introduced the Eagles to each other and then encouraged them to form their own band and even help them find other members. So that's probably the connection around the Eagles and YouTube playing this song for me. Now, I actually saw Linda Ronstadt perform this song live back in the 70s, and I remember it was kind of magical. I ended up watching this again last night or the other night a few times and finding other versions of the song. And I'm going to talk about what some of the history of this song is and what I think it evokes, the artistry in it, how you could interpret it. So let's just first start by giving it a listen, and then I'll deconstruct it a little bit. And I think I can, I'm not monetizing this. I think I can just play it. It's on Linda Ronstadt's YouTube channel. This is a performance, a live performance from 1977 in Atlanta. And I'm sure it's probably the same musicians that I heard. She'll get the ad rev, not me. Let's listen.
Feel so bad, I got a worried mind. I'm so lonesome all the time. Since I left my baby behind on Blue Bayou, saving nickels, saving dimes, working till the sun don't shine, looking forward to happier times on Blue Bayou. I'm going back someday, come what may, to Blue Bayou, where the folks are fine and the world is mine. Blue Bayou, where those fishing boats with their sails afloat. If I could only see that familiar sunrise through sleepy eyes, how happy I'd be. Gonna be with some of my friends, gonna see my baby again. Maybe I feel better again on Blue Bayou. Saving nickels, saving dimes, working till the sun don't shine, looking forward to happier times on Blue Bayou. I'm going back someday, come what may, to Blue Bayou, where the folks are fine and the world is mine. Blue Bayou, where those fishing boats with their sails afloat. If I could only see that familiar sunrise through sleepy eyes, how happy I'd be.
Isn't that something? I think that this song expresses a deep sense of nostalgia, of longing, of sadness for a simpler, happier life that the singer or songwriter once knew. The line, I'm going back someday, come what may, to Blue Bayou. I see this song as someone who feels disconnected from their current life and yearns to return to a place of emotional comfort and belonging. That's what the Blue Bayou represents. It's home, it's tranquility, it's a lost paradise. It may be a rural or a coastal area where you can sleep in the sun, you can fish all day away from the stresses and struggles of life. And there's a tone of loneliness, there's homesickness and a longing for a lost love. The lines, saving nickels, saving dimes, working till the sun don't shine, looking forward to happier times on Blue Bayou. Then there's like, gonna see my baby again, gonna be with some of my friends, maybe I'll feel better again on Blue Bayou. So it's not the happiest time right now for this person, but the song carries a hopeful sense of, someday being able to go back and reclaim that peace and happiness. And I think the song resonates with anyone who's ever longed for a past time or a place or a feeling of contentment that feels out of reach right now in the present. It evokes universal themes of loss, yearning, and a hope for a better future. The basic message is at the end of the lyrics that go, oh, some sweet day gonna take away this hurting inside. I'll never be blue. My dreams come true on Blue Bayou. Now, if you don't know, Blue Bayou was written by a very famous musician, a guy named Roy Orbison, back in 1963, and he recorded it, and it did pretty well. Orbison grew up in Texas, and the imagery of a quiet bayou probably evoked feelings of, returning to a serene and comforting place away from the pressures of fame and the fast pace of life. And if you know who Roy Orbison was, he had a very distinctive voice, kind of a haunting tenor that was actually very emotional. And back in the 1950s and 60s, he'd been a huge star. He was as big as Elvis Presley for a while. He was bigger than the Beatles for a while. In fact, in early 1964, he toured the UK with the Beatles. He was the main act and the Beatles were the warm-up act. They were less known. And of course, that was early, but Orbison was more popular than the Beatles at that point in England, if you can believe it. And that would, of course, change. So I want to play part of Orbison's version of his song. This is Orbison singing it how he wrote it back in 1963. It's a little different from what Linda Ronstadt did. Let me push play on this.
Oh, to see my baby again, and to be with some of my friends. Maybe I'd be happy then on Blue Bayou. I'm going back someday, gonna stay on Blue Bayou, where the folks are fine and the world is mine. Blue Bayou, all I'd ever mind by my side, silver moon and evening tide. Some sweet day gonna take away this hurt inside.
Da, 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 da. It's got that little ending. You can see his original version, it was faster. It was a lot faster than Linda Ronstadt's. And it had that little jazzy dun, 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 dun. It's a kind of a cha-cha-cha phrase from the 60s. Then after Linda Ronstadt made this an even bigger song in 1960 or 1977, Orbison slowed down his version of it and he copied her rendition a little bit. Just listen here to how he performed the same song in 1988. Here it is.
I'm going back someday, gonna stay on Blue Bayou.
And I'm just going to stop it here. That was, as you probably saw, Bruce Springsteen. So he had Bruce Springsteen here. There he is, Bruce Springsteen playing in his backup band, backup guitar. And this performance actually was kind of an all-star backup. It had Elvis Costello and Katie Lang and Tom Waits, Jackson Brown, Bonnie Raitt. So this was an incredible performance then. Let's keep listening.
Where the folks are fine and the world is mine, Blue Bayou. Oh, that girl of mine by my side, silver moon and the evening tide. Some sweet day gonna take away this hurting inside. I'll never be blue, my dreams come true on Blue
Okay, so you can see that Orbison changed the song. He slowed it down. He improved it, I think, based on Linda Ronstadt's success with it. She had made it a huge hit, even much bigger than what he had made it, and it sort of became her signature song. Some background on Roy Orbison. He drank and he smoked and he ate a lot of bad food, and basically he put himself in an early grave at age 52 from a heart attack. That was 1988, and he had had open heart surgery some years before, but basically he refused to stop smoking or give up his bad habits. And earlier in his career, when he was still near the top of his career in 1966, he lost his wife, Claudette. He and Claudette, they loved to ride Harley-Davidson motorcycles, and they each had their own, and they were crazy and dangerous and rode like madmen around Tennessee. And one day in June of 66, they went out riding, and she was hit by a car and killed. She was only 25. They had 3 kids then, and it was obviously devastating for Orbison. Then 2 years later, in 1968, Orbison lost 2 of his 3 sons. His house burned down in Henderson, Tennessee, and they were 6 and 10 years old. And his youngest son, who was 3, was visiting his grandparents, so he didn't die. But Orbison had a lot of personal tragedy, losing his wife, his children, and his career faltered. And basically, it went very cold for 10 or more years at that point. And I think this song, Blue Bayou, might have changed for Orbison after the meaning, after his personal tragedies. He went from being a huge selling star in the 50s and 60s to hitting rock bottom in the late 60s and throughout the 70s. And after the fire in 1968, he sold the land where his house had been to a very close friend of his, Johnny Cash, who then built a big new house where he and his wife, June Carter Cash, they lived for many years. And then much later in 2007, after Johnny and June had passed away, the house that Johnny Cash had built was now owned by Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees. And then that house burned down in 2007. Barry Gibb had intended to make a museum or something, to spotlight and honor the musician community that had been there, built up in Henderson, Tennessee, but fate had other ideas. Orbison's career, it came back around in the early 80s, and he started recording with Bob Dylan and George Harrison and a lot of big stars in a group called the Traveling Wilburys. For me, Blue Bayou has always felt like more than just a place. It's a spiritual place that you return to, a kind of paradise where you can reconnect with what really matters and with who really matters. And sometimes when I hear it, I imagine that Blue Bayou could even be a vision of the afterlife, a peaceful place where you kick back with old friends, you relax and enjoy eternity, or maybe enjoy some time before you, return to Earth for another life, or who knows, maybe it's just a metaphor for those rare moments in life where everything feels right. And whether you interpret this as a literal place or a memory or something spiritual, the longing in the song, I think, is universal. We've all had moments where we wish we could return to a time or a place where we felt truly happy. So that's it. I'd love to hear from you. What's your Blue Bayou? What place, represents perfect peace for you? Did you first hear Orbison's version of this song or Linda's? And, which one spoke to you more? What does this song mean to you? Or maybe it's just one of those songs where it makes you feel something and you can't quite put it into words. So after I saw the YouTube video of Linda Ronstadt, I decided to make this video. Let me know if you like this kind of content from time to time. If so, give it a like, leave a comment. Thanks for joining me on this little musical journey.